I was there. I was in Hoboken, and it was right across.
Were you living in Hoboken?
No, I was living at my parents'.
Okay.
But I was taking the commuter train in. I didn't see any of the planes hit. I saw the buildings go down, though.
You did?
Yes.
From where?
From, I'd say fairly close. I mean, the train that runs from Hoboken runs to the World Trade Center. So it was, there's two trains. One runs to on 33rd, one runs to World Trade Center.
Right, yeah.
So it's right there. Like, it's a straight shot from Hoboken Terminal. So you're literally, I mean, I'd say so across the river, the smallest part of the river. So you're right in front of those buildings. It was like, I mean, it was like being in a science fiction film, you know, or some kind of like a disaster film. It was exactly that kind of feeling. You didn't believe it. Like, it felt like you were in Independence Day or something. Like, it made no sense. Your brain couldn't process it. And for me, it was a little different. I'm kind of like, I'm very empathetic, and I'm kind of a conduit emotionally and stuff. So I pick up a lot of stuff in that way. And there was like about 300-400 people around me. I was right at the edge. A lot of people were maybe a little too scared to get right to the edge of the railing. All these people behind me, though, they all had friends and family in those buildings. I didn't. So when that first building went, like, it was like an A-bomb went off of like just this emotion, and it was like, it made you nauseous. You know, I was more upset for the people around me than for myself. You know, I was just. I think one of the first thoughts that went in my head when it went down is, what does this mean? Like, what does this mean for the world? Like, how's this going to change everything? So yeah, that was pretty crazy. It was like total piece of fiction. It was like, you know, you couldn't even believe it was happening.
And what did you end up doing that day?
They were sending people back home on the trains for free. They were basically just shuttling people out, and I ended up walking home that day. And I got off the train and walked home, and my mom was really excited to see that I was still alive and that I was able to also get home so quickly. But the train ride back was very interesting, because you were surrounded by people that were like businessmen and, you know, people just a different age and a different class than me. They were all like kind of like entrepreneurs or something, and they were all just talking about, I heard people like calling people just, you know, talking about having families now and getting married and just like all these things, and then talking about the opposite of that. You'd see differing opinions. Like, the guy next to you would be saying how he didn't want to raise a kid in a world like this, and another guy would be saying how he wants to get married and start a family now and stop running around. So that was pretty interesting. I mean, I'm a total people watcher, so I was observing a lot that day.
And how did that lead to the creation of the band?
One of the other things I thought about when that first building went down was a big thing that went through my head was, you know, everything's kind of pointless that you're doing right now. I was involved in commercial art in New York, trying to pitch a show to Cartoon Network that was extremely frustrating, because I was dealing with a company that had optioned the cartoon show that didn't quite get it, and I think they were more interested in turning it into toys or pillowcases and shit like that, and it was really disheartening. And that was my first ever taste of creating something and seeing it take off a little bit, and it didn't feel good. And at that moment I was like, oh, this doesn't mean anything. This is all garbage. Like, this is all bullshit. And I need to do something that actually means something, or my life's gonna mean nothing. Just like this cartoon means nothing. Like, it's all going to mean nothing if I don't do something. And it doesn't mean like go out there and save the world, because you can't, obviously. But it means, you know, go out there and make some kind of difference, or say something that has some kind of value to it. Connect with another human being, you know. So that was it. I mean, and I think it took a couple weeks tops, and then we were jamming, and then a month later we had Mikey, and then a month after that we were playing, and then a month after that we were recording and then touring. So it was just like every month was a giant thing happening for us, you know.
So do you think have you found like that meaning through this?
I absolutely. I mean, I feel like I've accomplished a lot, my personal goals with the band, And yeah, I think you know, we created something special together, and I wanted to be part of a team. I didn't just want to be it myself. I think we created something very special together. I think it means something. It meant something when it started. It said what it kind of had to say, and so that's an interesting position to be in, because, you know, I don't necessarily think the next album we make, I don't necessarily know that it needs to say something. I think we're kind of finished in that regard. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what we do next, because I guess, you know, quote unquote, the mission or the goal or whatever it was, that feels, yeah, I feel very complete about that. Like, the feeling that I got growing up in that area, did you ever kind of have these kind of moments where you're in an environment, even in high school or anywhere else, where you realize, like, wow, I'm completely built differently than every single person I'm around? Like, from the kids bullying, like, I'd watch kids bully other kids, and it was all about, like, force and aggression and dominance. And I was like, wow, why am I not like that? Like, why am I not prone to conflict like all these other kids I'm around? Why am I not prone to violence? Why am I not prone to act out? Why does violence, like, you know, why do I realize it's so wrong? And why does it make me nauseous? And, you know, why do I want to create things instead of destroy them? And all I saw around me was other kids that just wanted to destroy something. If some kid got a new bike, another kid wanted to take it and jump it and destroy it. And I never understood that. The same thing. That's what's interesting. You know, we'll play something like Reading Festival, and I'll get hit with, like, a golf ball or a bottle of piss, and I'll be like, wow, why am I not like that guy? You know, what makes me different like that? Why do I want to just create something really special and kind of just, like, basically give it to the world? And there's other people that are just they just hate themselves so much that they want to act out in aggression against something, you know, something that stands for really just, and that's the kind of response this band is supposed to get. Like, it was a wake-up call in the regard that we hadn't had that response in a long time, but when the band started, we would get physical threats, you know, because it was flamboyant and it was unapologetic. That's what this band is. So I guess it had been a long time, and a lot of award shows later, and a lot of magazine interviews later, where it was like, wow, I forgot what that felt like to be the outcast, to represent every kid in the crowd that didn't really fit in at all, you know.
So what did that feel like then, getting hit with, like, getting bottled? What did that feel like?
It was exhilarating and extremely challenging, you know. There's nothing like that to humble you more, or let you know that there's still something to fight for, or that the world wants what it wants. You know, like, you can't change the world. You can't fight the world. The world is always going to win based off what it wants. You know, but it also makes you realize that sometimes there's just, like, a majority out there, or a minority out there, that's extremely aggressive, when in fact you're playing for the majority, which is A, really enjoying what you're doing, and B, very peaceful people. So, but it's interesting. I think the polarizing element to the band is really exhilarating. It's very exciting. You never get bored.
So when you got, like, hit with the bottle, you felt like exhilarated?
Yeah, I mean, that actually ended up I think when all is said and done, I mean, we'll have, you know, we've had shows since that I feel were, like, maybe my personal best, or I said something extra witty that day or extra important, but I think when all is said and done, people will look at that very specific show and say that was the most important show of this band's career, because they got up there facing a tremendous amount of opposition and won an entire crowd over, and did it with every single camera on them and everybody facing them. And so I think that's why it's important, because it really sums up the band in one 40-minute set, you know? It was not easy. It was like a volley at first, and then just stopped. And there was cheering, and there was excitement, and there was positivity, like, you know, like a current through the audience. And it was really amazing. It's amazing to watch some of the footage that BBC captured of it. It's pretty awesome.